Mark Zuckerberg has decided to kill off the metaverse. There wasn't any big announcements, and no funeral is going to be had for the project, probably because the Zuck doesn't want to admit that his plan to contain all of humanity, to have all of us working and playing inside of his virtual world, has failed. But rest assured, this virtual reality matrix that Facebook has spent billions of dollars on and was so confident would be a huge success that they actually renamed their company after the product. No, it has been shelved indefinitely. Now, in actuality, if I had to guess why Facebook really decided to kill the metaverse, it's probably because of pressure from investors. Reality Labs, the division of Meta that was developing the metaverse, produced a cumulative loss of $26 billion. Now look, Mark Zuckerberg is a really rich guy. I mean, he is one of the biggest heads of big tech. And Meta, actually, you know what? I'm just going to go back to calling them Facebook because they don't get to call themselves Meta if they're not going to contribute to the metaverse anymore. So Facebook is a really rich company, but $24 billion. That's a hard loss even for them to swallow. It's kind of like in the early days of SpaceX where the Falcon 1 rockets were failing to launch, and those things cost millions of dollars each, and that's just for the rockets. That's not even factoring in the salaries of the literal rocket scientists that work on these things, because they still get paid regardless of whether the rocket actually goes into space or not. And of course, one big difference between SpaceX and Meta is that SpaceX is a private company, so it's mostly Elon's money that's blowing up on the launch pads, and what other investments, and I guess maybe some of our money when the government invests in it. But anyway, this was before he was worth dozens of billions. He was still worth a couple billion from PayPal and stuff like that. But the point is, he really felt that loss. Okay, if you go back and you look at those videos of him, reacting to the rockets blowing up, it was pretty serious. But now, he's got a lot of money. He's off buying Twitter for $50 billion, and he's bringing sinks in buildings. And who knows if he'll ever manage to turn a profit on that? Probably not. But anyway, Facebook. They finally woke up and they smelled the losses, and they decided to start pursuing something that would actually make some money before all of their investors form an angry mob and storm their headquarters. And when you need to make some fast money, it's best to jump on the hot new trend, which of course is AI. Mark Zuckerberg said on Monday that the company is creating a new top-level product group at Meta focused on generative AI to turbocharge our work in this area. We've started by pulling together a lot of the teams that are working on generative AI across the company into one group focused on building delightful experiences around this technology into all of our different products. In the short term, we'll focus on building creative and expressive tools. Over the longer term, we'll focus on developing AI personas that can help people in a variety of ways. Man, imagine an AI persona developed by the Zuck. We're exploring experiences with text like chat and WhatsApp and Messenger, with images like creative Instagram filters and ad formats, and with video and multi-modal experiences. We have a lot of foundational work to do before getting to the really futuristic experiences, but I'm excited about all of the new things we're building along the way. So Meta is pretty much having the same reaction to AI that a lot of other companies are having right now. They're looking at the success of OpenAI's ChatGPT and saying, I want that for me. They're seeing how this project has been extremely disruptive to a whole lot of industries. You've got students that are using it to write their essays, and the faculty are using it to write letters of solidarity to students after school shootings happen. The AI has been used to create more episodes of Seinfeld than Seinfeld. If that's not a bullish signal, I don't know what is. A week before quietly killing off the metaverse, Facebook announced the Llama language model with up to 65 billion parameters. They also plan to make Llama models with 7 billion parameters, 13 billion parameters, and 33 billion parameters, respectively. Now, ChatGPT is based on GPT-3, which is a model with over 175 billion machine learning parameters. However, training models that are based on GPT-3 with all of those parameters, like ChatGPT, require huge amounts of VRAM, about 700 gigabytes, according to this post on Stack Exchange AI. Maybe something like this could be pulled off if you used to be a big shot Ethereum miner before they switched to staking. And maybe if you're that kind of person, you've got 100 graphics cards just laying around, and you've got some way that you can connect all of those cards together and to actually power that monstrosity of a machine and keep it from overheating. But for everyone else, running a model that big locally just is completely outside of their reach. And even renting servers to run a model like that is out of the reach of a lot of data centers. That's typically not something that most people can even really pay for. You're probably going to have to build your own data center or spend a lot of money renting out multiple racks within a data center. And since the computers that you would need to train models like GPT-3 are really expensive, that's probably the reason why OpenAI hasn't actually open sourced it like their previous models. When you add up the cost of graphics cards, electricity, and salaries for engineers, the price of GPT-3 ends up being something like $10 million to develop. These models that Facebook is developing in comparison are going to be way cheaper. And hell, even if Facebook did want to develop something like GPT-3 for a similar price to OpenAI, $10 million is an easy fee to eat compared to the $24 billion that they spend trying to build the metaverse. And plus, Facebook is a much bigger company than OpenAI to begin with, so they have some advantages there with scale and with infrastructure. They probably could whip up a really powerful AI if they actually wanted to. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Facebook competes with OpenAI. I know a lot of people were criticizing OpenAI since all of their most popular models that are based off of GPT-3 are not actually open source because you can't run them locally, and the company is really restrictive about what you do with their API. So since Facebook is creating these smaller AI models, I don't think there's going to be as much of an argument for them to not let people run them locally, especially if this AI market continues to be so popular, because it's going to push the graphics card manufacturers to produce cards with more VRAM so that running larger models locally is more of a possibility. AMD and NVIDIA, they already have cards with 24 gigs of VRAM at the highest end, and NVIDIA's Ada Lovelace actually supports up to 48 gigabytes of VRAM, but unfortunately for us, they decided to shelve that RTX 4090 Titan, so the only way to actually get a setup like that with 48 gigs of normal RTX cards, I guess, would be to buy 2 RTX Titans and use an NVLink, or you could just get an NVIDIA Tesla A100. Sure, it's like a couple thousand extra dollars, but what's a couple $1,000 when you can just train a Seinfeld AI that's going to make all of that money back for you in a couple of weeks from Twitch donations? Just make sure it's able to follow Twitch's terms of service. And like I've said before, I think that this AI technology is really cool, but only if it's free and open source. Foss AI is the best AI. Self-hosted AI is the best AI. Imagine having your own self-hosted generative chat models that are fine-tuned to your preferences, trained on your work or for whatever it is you need them to do. It would be the ultimate tool. And when you think about it, self-hosting is the only way to achieve something like that, to train these models on the data that you would need to train them on without giving some corporation a disturbing amount of insight into your life. Then again, that was the result of Facebook's first project, Facebook. But what do you guys think? Will Facebook finally manage to redeem itself by becoming an AI company that produces generative models that are more open than OpenAI's? Wouldn't that be ironic? Or do you think that their models are going to be just as proprietary as OpenAI's, or maybe they'll find a way to actually make their models worse and take even more control away from the end users? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Like and share to hack the algorithm, follow me on Odyssey, and have a great day.